Hey guys, I just want to demonstrate how to actually pull apart these triple gauges that you get in the E1, E2 or E3 HSVs. I get enough requests about it and I do fix them when I get them in. So pretty much we're stripping it down till we can actually see the LEDs, the two little LEDs there. It does require having a bit of skill with soldering, so don't take this on unless you have previous skill with it. But it's just to demonstrate how to get this done if you feel confident enough to do it. Pretty much we have a couple screws, we have the little rubber insert, we have the glass, that's the bit that you really don't want to smash. Outer casing, main gauge face, a little ring on the outside and the locking nut there. So I'm going to be demonstrating on one of these here, so probably the battery one. The tools you're going to need to use, I'll use a couple screwdrivers, T10 hex nut, pliers for the tweezers for the new LEDs. Just use a little pocket knife here to help me pry off the plastic and glass. As being here, you actually need to pry these bits back so that you can pop the glass out. This is the part where a lot of people seem to smash it. Actually need to properly bend these back so the glass is free, and then once it's out you can actually bend these slightly in and it allows you to hold it back in place. And then also 2 spoons, helps you get the needle off. So I'm just going to go ahead and start pulling one of these apart so you guys can see exactly what needs to be done. So starting off, let's take off the nut. Alright, then we got 2 screws at the bottom that we need to do. So just use screw nut. So these triple gauges came from a E3 HSV, and they have the infamous flickering. So just showing you how easy it is. The soldering station I'm using is one from J-Car. Has both the temperature control and also a little desoldering station a part of it. Unfortunately it is expensive. I do not recommend using anything you can get pretty much from Bunnings because it's going to be too hot. So then there's also a little rubber ring that's just around the side. You just got to pull it down just a little bit so it gets out your way. And then after that, we'll want to be taking off this little plate here on the top. If you go around it, you can see there's little locking nuts just underneath, which you can go ahead and just sort of flick up, just gently lift. You can see it prying off just slightly. Going around each one. Sort of pry it off. This one looks like this one's already been done once before. Someone attempted. It's got a little bit of damage there. There we go. Comes off. Easy as that. So let's put that aside. And now here comes the bit for the glass. So this is the bit you got to be really careful. So we're going to go around and slightly bend back the little locking tabs. One there, one there, one there. Once they're sort of bent back, you can actually lift the glass out pretty easily. If you try and pry that glass up without doing it, you're going to put a giant snap through it. I see that all too often. So go ahead and give that a go. So I generally use either the little pocket knife and I can slide it in between, I can lift back. As you can see, move across. Yeah, you bend it back a bit. And so when you see it and it bends back, it's not actually sitting in the glass anymore. You're going to move this a little bit more. Right, and you can move on to the next one. You can actually hear it just slightly as the glass is popping out. And next one. Next one. Alright, and then the glass just pops out like that. Be careful not to really touch the face of the glass, or at least not the underside, because that's the bit you really want clean. The outside you can clean once you put it all back together. So I'm going to put that carefully down. Right, now we're through to here. So we need to actually pop this out so we can get to the needle. So all you got to do, put it upside down, just push your finger into the plug, We'll start pushing out. There we go. So that's pushed out. So now I have a little rubber grommet thing. And so I do advise trying to avoid touching the face of the gauge. Doesn't seem to mark as easy as clusters, but now we've got the actual main body part. And now we're left with this. So next we have to take off the needle and then also this main gauge face. So I tend to actually find using the little surround is actually a good little holder. Now you need to grab 2 spoons and take note of where the needle is actually sitting. So this is showing it just being underneath the 10, because you will need to put it back in that place. Take a picture, it really does help. And we're going to want to slide it under. So now I'm pretty sure this one has been pulled apart before, since this is on very, very close. So I might actually have to pause the video while I fiddle around to get this one off. Because I believe someone has actually taken this one apart already. Oh, I might be able to get under it. And put the other side on, if it fits, which I don't think it will. So you can use a fork in circumstances like this, or a spoon, as long as you just pry it up gently. There you go, simple as that. Needle's off. Now that we've done that, actually I marked it, yep. Now we've done that, we've got 2 little clips at the back here that need to be done. So just push them in and just do both sides and carefully pull it off. Alright, simple as that. Now we're finally left with this. So we've got our 2 LEDs. They need to be replaced. As you can see, there is quite a lot going on that board. You really don't want to pull anything off that you're not meant to, overheat the board or melt something else. So I don't advise doing this unless you really have played with this before. You need to have a fine tip soldering tip to be able to actually desolder these. I find generally putting just a little tab of solder on each side, so then I can lift one leg or lift one side and then lift the other. I won't go through soldering that. I might just quickly do a quick solder and I'll come back and show you exactly how to put it back together, which is essentially just the reverse of what we did. As for the LEDs used, I use ones from Mauser. They do cost more, but they're high quality. I'm sure people can find them on eBay. They're the 3528 size LEDs, also known as PLCC2 off the top of my head. And so they're only little tiny things, and they do burn out very easy if you don't use a temperature controlled soldering station. I'd say at 300 or 350 degrees. The quickest way also, these need to be put on the correct way, being negative and positive. There's a little indent. I'm not sure if the camera is going to pick it up, but the little indent on this side of the LED indicates that's the negative side. So on mine, I have on this side is the on this side facing upwards is negative, whereas on the opposite side coming downwards is the negative. So they're opposite that way. Alright, so soldered on these 2 LEDs, tested it all works. Quickest way for testing is to actually put it back together. So pop the face back on, which I'll show you. Put that back in, put a screw into the back, and then actually plug it into your car and turn your lights on to make sure it actually all lights up and works properly. Doesn't work, most likely probably blown or fried a LED, need to replace it and repeat. So putting it actually properly back together, we're going to have to put the faceplate on first. So squeeze in the little legs so that you can get over the little notch that you can see that's right there. You'll hear it clip in properly when you push. On. Alright, the next bit for this, the little needle. This will confuse a lot of people. Don't have to worry about too much trying to get it straight on to where it's meant to be first go. As you'll see, look, I'm just going to go put it up where near 14 is. Don't push on it too hard either, because you don't want it to be right on the face and you can't actually get it off like I just had before. So now if you see, when I turn it back, it stops just about where the 12 is. That's fine. All you're going to do is twist a little bit more force and it'll start moving back. And you want to go just below, for where this one was, just below the 10. Yep. So now when I turn it, it stops at the point it's meant to. And so you can turn around and you'll see it will stop right where that little positive is. So it's as simple as that to make it line up and work properly. Is done. Alright, next putting it back into its little case. Which I find it's sometimes easier to do this at the same time with this. So you line it up at the bottom so the plug goes through. And then we need to put in this little rubber seal. There's no real trick to getting this in, just sort of going around until it sort of pops in nicely like that. Keep going around, keep going around, until it's all the way flat. Put that needle back down. Right, next is the glass. So this is the bit that, again, just need to be careful. So I'm just going to slightly pry these back again so that the glass will pop in nicely, and then they'll slowly move back in on the glass and grip, because it's quite tough plastic there. Obviously you don't want to go overkill. As you can see, I'm only just slightly bending back. I'm not, trying to snap the plastic or do anything silly. Just want it back just that little bit so the glass pops in easy. So careful not to touch the bottom. Putting the glass in, going around a little circle, make sure it's all popped in properly. There we go. So now I just put a little pressure on these little side clips, make sure it clips back in. Yep, I can already see the little side plastic bits that we bent out have already come back to shape. And finally, doing this top case. So you need to turn it until you can see the locking lugs actually clip in properly. So I start on one side and just start sort of moving around. There we go. And done. We are back together. Just pull up this little rubber seal, put it around. Locking the lug back on. Well, you put that on when you obviously screw it back on when you're in there, but that's it, we're done. Simple as that. There you go, popped on. And it's not much more to it. Then repeat on the next two. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to message me, and don't forget to like us on Facebook.